Hello, dear students and all kinds of viewers. Assalamu alaikum. How are you all? I hope you are actually confined to your own home and studying seriously for for your exams and other purposes. And I would like to welcome you to my virtual lecture presentations. Today I have decided to work with graph and chart analysis for HSC first year students and of course suitable for second year also. I am Mazharul Haq, Assistant Professor, Department of English, Kumila Victoria Government College. And today's lecture has been specially chosen for HSC first paper who have got some problems with charts and graphs and its analysis. You will have 10 marks for this question. So it's really very important for you. So before I go to the deeper part of this analysis, I would like to let you know that there are different types of graphs and charts that are given to the question paper. Let's have a look at them. First one is table, pyramid, graph, chart, pie chart, histogram, bar diagram, line chart, and map. So these are the items that will be given to your question paper. But for time constraint, I would like to discuss only those areas which are very much applicable and very much suitable for your exam. Let's have a look at this. And before I start, you need to know what are the different types of graphs or charts. Let's start with bar graphs, which is very common for the HSC students. And there are different types of bar graphs, horizontal bar graphs and vertical bar graphs. Then histograms and line graphs and pie charts. You can see the four spatial diagrams are chosen for you to, first of all, you need to identify which graph is what. First, at the left corner of the up left corner of this slide, you see bar graphs. And then at the right corner of this slide is histogram. At the left bottom is line graphs and the right bottom is pie chart. These four charts are also very important. And let's have a look at the next slide. There are actually different types of charts and graphs, but for the HSC exams, you do not need to go for other charts like maps and others. You can only give concentration among these graphs and charts. And again, you can see pie chart, vertical bar chart, bubble chart, line graph, area graph, and histogram. These are all very common in these discussions. So before you know details about the questions of your exam, you need to know that there are three main sections for the report analysis of a chart. What are they? First one, in the answer sheet, you will have to think about the topic sentence, which is also called the main idea of the discussion. Then it follows supporting sentence, which is called the body of the paragraph, and at last the concluding sentence or the terminator of the graph. And let's look at the example. This is a very sample and simple example, which is very much suitable and common to your exam papers. Let's see. The graph below shows the number of online subscribers or internet users in the year 2012 to 2017. Now describe the graph in 150 words. You should highlight and summarize the information given in the graph. So the question is basically given like this in the exam paper, and there will be a picture, image, or diagram be given. So for today's discussion, I have specially chosen bar chart or bar graph because bar chart or bar graph is very common for the HSC students and HSC English first paper question. So if you look at this bar chart, what can you see? There are different columns are shown here. There are two axes. One is vertical and one is horizontal axis. In the vertical axis, you can see there are different columns are shown, column 1 to 7, and these are all indicating the years, that is from 2012 to 2017. In these 6 years are shown in this bar chart. And if you look at the vertical side or vertical axis of this graph, you will see the percentages are given in numbers starting from 0 to 80. So you will have to check these figures very well before you start your discussion. Now, how would you analyze this graph? You need to know the language of the graph. Language of the graph is very much formal, and it should be suitable for your understanding of the diagram or picture that will be given or provided to your question. So this is a very simple specimen answer I have given you. And before I go to give you the real answer, you will need to know what phrases or linkers you will have to use for analyzing this graph. So look at that. The graph should be started like this. The discussion should start like this. The graph shows, reflects, or displays, or indicates the, and then there's a blank. And in this blank, you will use main idea or summarize the main idea or topic based on the question of the graph. The next sentence will be according to the graph or at a first glance. You can choose either one of the two sentences. Remember, the sentences will have to be very formal, and you have to use the linkers and discourse markers, or you can use some very chosen phrases. And then in the according to the graph or at a first glance, you will have to use the primary idea or information from the graph. And then you will have to analyzing the next line, analyzing the graph, or after analyzing the certain aspects or trends of the graph. There you will write in details about the information that will be provided, and you must use the linkers. Look at that. I have used the first linker but, and what will you write there? You will have to write the contrasting or opposite ideas present in the graph. After that, you can use however, and when you use however, you have to write the positive features of the information of the graph. And after that, again or in addition to that can be used, and there you have to use add any information if there is any. That is, if you think that there is still more information to come, then you can add here. And after that, also or furthermore can be used. Extra more information if available or if you need, it is suitable for your answer. And next line would be thus or overall. The graph shows or indicates. You have to add the highlighted points or trends of the graph in sequential order, that is hierarchical order, from the beginning to the end with concluding remarks. And the last sentence of the discussion would be, it can be asserted or suggested or said that, and there you will write most noticeable factors, statements after analyzing the total trends or information of the graph. So you can see the total body had been designed to give you a perfect shape of the graph. Let's look at the next slide. This is a very important slide because you have to use the trends. You need to know the trends to describe the graph. So first, the upward trends. Upward trends are climbed to, or increased to, ascended to, rose to, expanded to, grew to, improved to, shot to, soared up, stepped up, raised. So these are all upward trends of the graph. That is the figure or the digits which are going to increase or going upward. Then comes the downward trends. These phrases are fixed actually. You cannot use any phrase from your own. These are the only phrases that you will have to use. So you have to remember those phrases before writing the graph. So the downward trends are drop to, reduce to, fell to, went down to, collapse to, reduce to, push down to, or fell down to. Then comes the stability. If the figures are stable, then you can use this sort of phrases. Didn't change, remained stable, leveled off, remained stagnant, stood at, reached at a peak, stayed at, maintained, or kept. And the last column, fluctuations. If there are fluctuations, of course there will be fluctuations in the graphs or charts. So you have to use this sort of phrases: rise and fall, fluctuate around, ascended, descended, wild fluctuations. Dear students, you will have to bear it in your mind that these are the very common and fixed phrases in order to describe the graph and in order to get the figure at which are already shown in the graph. So these phrases are very important for you to remember. Next slide. So there are certain changes of the graphs. Of course, there will be a lot of certain changes. So what are the phrases for certain changes? So if there are a lot of certain changes, you can use dramatic rise or fall, nosedived, sharp rise or fall, skyrocketed, especially for upward trends. Skyrocketed is mostly used, boomed up, slumped to. Boomed up is again used for anything which is going up, or slumped up can be used which is suddenly going down. You can see that these short phrases are especially used for sudden change in the graph. Of course, there will be a lot of sudden changes in the graph. So for those sudden changes, you must use this sort of phrases in order to get good marks. Let's see. This is a question. This is the answer of the question that I have already shown before. If possible, you can, draw the chart in the exam paper. That will be very much helpful for you, and that will actually draw the attention of the examiner. So this is the sample answer. You can see the answer. The graph shows the number of internet users in Bangladesh from the year 2012 to 2007. The first line is the topic sentence, which is very important and which, of course, should be written in the present indefinite form. The next line is, according to the graph or diagram, the lowest percentage was found in the year 2012 and it was 50%. On the other hand, the highest number of users were found in the year 2017 and it was 80%. The graph clearly indicates that the internet users fluctuated around 50% to 80% from the year 2012 to 2017. In 2012, the users were 50%, and in 2013, the users were 60%. During this time period, the users varied to 10%. But in the next year, that is 2014, the number of users dropped to 55%, and it decreased to 5% in comparison to the previous 2 years. However, in 2015 and 16, the percentage didn't change and it remained stable at 70%. Again, it can be noticed that in the year 2017, the number of users rose to 80%, and it was the highest percentage of the trends. Thus, the graph shows the rise and fall of internet users of Bangladesh from 2012 to 2017. Yet, the trend seems to be ascending, that is going to be up or going to be upwards. So this would be a sample answer which you must follow. Look at that, I have used some linkers which are already highlighted with different colors. You must follow the linkers, which are very important, or phrases. Remember, you will have to use the linkers or phrases in order to get a very good shape or description of the graph. And remember, you do not need to write anything from your own. All the writings will have to be very formal and compact, using the phrases that I have already shown at my previous slides. So these are the answers. In this short video presentation, I have only chosen bar chart for better understanding. Maybe another presentation again, another day, I will show other charts in different ways. So remember, students, charts are very important because it carries 10 marks for the exam. So you will have to be very cautious and careful in writing the graph in the exam paper. And remember, you will have to use only one para in the final writing. And the first line will have to be written in the present indefinite form. Most of the writings, most of the actually descriptions are written in the present indefinite form or present tense, simple present tense. But if it can be changed. If you would like to present anything, you can also use past indefinite form, which I have already used. And also you can use according to the context of the graph. And that's it from me. I hope you have enjoyed watching this video, and it's all from me today. Thank you very much. See you again another